Welcome to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show for purpose-driven, passion-fueled spiritual entrepreneurs ready to live their purpose, passion and prosperity as they create the life and business of their dreams whilst transforming the world, doing what they love and making fabulous money. Each week we bring you inspiring and empowering topics, popular thought leaders to empower you to transform all areas of your life and business. With your host, spiritual intuitive, entrepreneur, transformational business coach and mentor, Kimberly Lovell.
Hi sweethearts, it's Kimberly Lovell here from the Wealthy Business Goddess Show, and I'm so super excited to introduce you to a wonderful guest today, Cory Johnson. So Cory Johnson is a certified Access Consciousness facilitator, a radio show host, a best-selling author, world-renowned public speaker, sought-after life strategist and universal movement creator with business, money, unicorns, bodies and relationships. Cory has been empowering people and businesses for over 15 years, optimizing happiness and creating the most juicy, desirous life for those who will choose it. With intuitive laser facilitation, she wastes no time in getting to the root of any issue, and the tools, methods and techniques that Cory uses are fast, effective and they work. Hello Cory! So great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me on today. I'm excited to see what we talk about today.
Yeah, super excited. So, yes, where shall we dive in? So much to talk about. So tell us about crazy questions that make your fortune.
Crazy questions that make a fortune. Well, the main sort of body universal principle that I work with is ask and you shall receive. And what I noticed, not only for myself, but studying lots of people who sort of changed their life or expanded their wealth, money, luxury, opulence, like quickly, is that they were really using ask and you shall receive. They were working with the universe. Now, some of these people didn't know they were working with the universe, and other people intentionally were working with the universe, but they were all doing one thing, and that was asking for more, right? They were always asking for more. And we're taught, I don't know if you over in the UK, but me being from the United States, we're taught like not to ask for more, right? If you're greedy, don't, you already have enough. Can't you be grateful for what you have? So mmany of us stop asking, right? We don't even ask for more because we should be grateful for whatever it is that we have. Yeah. And so one of the things that I started doing was starting to ask for more. Always asking for more, but also being grateful at the same time. So I started asking questions just simply like, how does it get better than this? No matter what shows up, it's like, thank you. How does it get better than this? What else is actually possible? Because if the universe is infinite, right, Kimberly? Like, the universe is infinite, right? If the universe is infinite, then there are infinite possibilities. So it's kind of like, how do those possibilities get created? They get created through our asks, our knowing to even ask for more. And then the universe rearranges for us. So when we're in that space of, universe, what else is possible here? Universe goes, oh, I got something for you. And then it concocts something, and it's your job to receive it.
Yeah, I love that. The universe is infinite and we're infinite, right?
Yes.
So we need to be asking
both
for more.
Infinite and there's
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's like one of the things that somebody who, if they were like, I want to make a fortune or more, whether it's money or wealth or abundance, whatever it is you're asking for or you would like. What there is in the beginning is probably, that there's an awareness that something else is actually possible, right? Otherwise, you'd be fine, right? You'd be totally fine with whatever you have. You wouldn't be asking for a fortune, right? So it'd be like, oh, I'm totally cool with this, whatever it is that you have. And there's a lot of people out there who are totally fine with what they have. And then there's those of us who are like, wait a second, I think something else is possible here. And I would like to have that. But then all of our stuff comes up, right? Like if we don't believe that we can have it, or if we were told we're greedy if we had that much fortune in our lives. But when we start really asking of like, hey, universe, what is possible here, right? And I can give some more specific questions in a minute here, but like really like tuning into, wait a second, I'm aware of something. Universe, show me what's possible, right? It's a lot easier than, you know, struggling and
feeling frustrated.
like I was doing before. Yeah, and I thought that you had to work harder. So if you wanted more money, if you wanted to make a fortune, you had to work really hard. That's what I thought.
Yeah. And I think it's not just the UK or any particular country, I'm sure, but yeah, for me personally, I know, and a lot of the people I work with, it's that whole thing about, you know, yeah, you should be grateful for what you've got, and so how dare you even ask? Yeah. And then it gets to, okay, so now we're asking, but then there's a whole other thing about actually believing that we can have what we want because of all that programming and all those beliefs. And so one for me, I've had to work with, and I know again a lot of people have this, is that we can allow ourselves to have so much, a certain amount, and then we're limiting it. So it's like, I can't have everything I want. So can you speak to that? Or maybe there's some facilitation you can do around so that we can ask for all that we want. Yeah?
Yeah, totally. Well, gosh, there's so many directions I could go with that. But one of them is, you know, the simple, I love this tool. This is one of my favorite tools, is who does that belong to?
Yeah.
Like, I can only have so much. Is that yours, or did you pick it up from somebody else?
It's not mine.
Right. Not yours. You didn't make it up. You didn't invent, oh, that's enough. I can't have any more. We picked that up from somebody else. And so what's so interesting to me is working with the Access Consciousness tools, you really look at, wait a second, is that even mine? And that's where most of our limitations come from, is that we literally have duplicated them from our parents, from society, from what it is to be in a body on the planet right now, right? And before the age of 2 years old, all we're doing is duplicating energetic patterns. So if you're duplicating all these energetic patterns, you just think that they're yours.
Yeah. Ooh. What's
My
going
power
on?
just went off.
Okay.
We have no power here, apparently. It's all went off.
What's going to happen?
Well, I have ghosts. So I got plenty of batteries. Let's see what happens here. Anyway.
How powerful we are.
Okay, so here's something. Oh my gosh. So check this out. So I'm just laughing. This is hilarious. I'm trying to figure out though if the fan. Let's see real quick. Is the fan on up there? Oh no, it stopped you. Okay, just making sure. We had the cyclone here, right? So everything's messed up. Power's going out everywhere. People don't have internet for days. It's tragedy, right? So what else is possible? Okay, so when we can have fun anyways. So when we are duplicating these patterns, what happens is we go and try to fix them. We're like, oh, I must have a limitation. I'm blocked. I'm struggling. I have a poverty consciousness. I'm lacking abundance, whatever it is, right? We think it's ours because we've had it for a really long time. We don't remember actually choosing it. We don't remember that moment that happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what's happening is when we have all those patterns and we don't acknowledge that they aren't ours, then what happens is you can't actually change what's not yours. So if you're trying to change this money thing, but it's not yours to begin with, you can't change it because you didn't create it. Okay?
So what happens is we give away our power.
Money is.
We give away our power.
Well, we give away our power, but it's completely, yeah, exactly, power here. Sorry, I've got all sorts of things going on today. So what happens is if it's not yours, right, you can't change it. Like, you didn't create it. So the only thing you can actually do is return it to sender. So you can take that energy pattern, shed the light.
The light. See how powerful we are when we own our power. We call in the light.
Literally shed our light. Oh my God! Wow, that is. Wow. How does it get any better than that? So shedding the light of consciousness and saying, wait a second, this isn't mine. Stop owning it as yours and say, I'm going to return all those energetic patterns, everything I picked up, everything I thought was mine for 100 years, return it to sender with consciousness. Because it's like you just picked up the wrong bag, right? And you just need to give it back to the person when you don't even need to know who it is. So right now, if you, Kimberly, and everybody listening, this might be the craziest podcast that you have so far. Just close your eyes for a minute and then just ask, like, okay, so what's the biggest limitation that you have with money or wealth or abundance? Okay, and just bring that up, the one that you've been trying to fix for a long time or trying to get past, and ask the question, is this mine or is it someone else's? Is it yours or someone else's? And the one that's true, it'll be, yeah, you just kind of know. You're like, and there's a little more energy on it, right? It'll be like, oh, someone else's. That's not even mine, right? And sometimes you might know because you are like remembering what it was like to live with your dad, or you're just your awareness says it's not yours. Okay, now pull all the energy, everywhere that energetic pattern is stored in your body, in your energetic field, and also in your creations in your life, and return it all to sender. Send all those patterns, all the energy back to from whence it came. Okay. All right, there we go. And then everywhere that you ever bought it as yours, locked it in as yours, owned it, tried to fix it, made yourself wrong for it, will you actually destroy and uncreate all of that? Oh yeah, okay. Awesome. Oh my goodness, I wonder what's possible now.
It's, you know, it's so funny. So many, because there's so many people that we work with. I know we work with similar people, so many people who are sensitive that just don't realise the difference between what is ours and what is others. You know, I think that's huge. So it's a fabulous tool to be able to ask and then to be able to return what's not yours. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and then some people, you know, it's one of the easiest tools that I've ever used, and I think probably the hardest part sometimes is just our cognitive function gets in the way, right? We want to go, well, how is that mine? It's been in my world this whole time, and we want to try to get it, but all you have to do is really go, wait, is that not mine? Yeah, my mom was like that. So if your mother, your father, anybody you were raised with was like that or had that, it's not yours ever. And you're never going to be able to change it unless you acknowledge that. The truth will set you free, right? So acknowledging that alone, it can change a lot of stuff. And then now what I like to do afterwards is just ask a question, like, hey, now what's possible? What's possible if that no longer exists in my world?
And it feels really expansive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, it's almost like you open a door that's been there the whole time. Yeah. Well, there's a fire truck coming down the street now too. I wonder what's going on. This is awesome. This is so awesome.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about if you see any flames or smoke, let me know. Just run. So let's talk a little bit about the believing. The believing, like it's possible, it's not possible. You know, how do we change that when there's something and perhaps it's ours, perhaps it's not ours, that says, you know, it's not possible, you can't have that.
Yeah, oh, that's such a good one, because it's like, I tend to look at things just a little bit differently, I think, than most people. So this may or may not be a little bit different of a point of view that you have, Kimberly, or other guests have had. But I think that belief in general can be a major limitation. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're locking yourself into something. And so what I like to do instead is like, okay, well, I wonder what is possible. And not really have a belief about it, but be in the space of curiosity, right? Or the space of an experimenter. Like, all right, well, let's see what's possible, right? Like, so then you don't have to attach some sort of belief, because so many people even have stuff about believing, right? Because we were convinced that Santa Claus was real. Well, at least I was.
Ah.
So
Kimmy still thinks he is. That's another story.
You know, right. So we believe what we want, and so a lot of the work that I do is we're literally like removing those beliefs, because they put us in a little bit of a box. But I know the space you're talking about of like, well, what if anything is possible? And going to that space right there where it's like, oh, what if you don't have to believe it to have it happen? What if you actually just have to ask for it and be open to actually receiving it? Now, being open to actually receiving it is a whole other thing.
Yeah. And I love how you just described that.
Yeah.
What I was seeing was, for me, as you're talking about that place of not having a point of view, it's like that energy of miracles, the energy of creation, because anything is possible in that space. It's kind of like suspended belief. Yeah.
I love how you just described it.
Okay, so when we don't have the point of view, we're in like this we're suspending beliefs, and for me that's a place where the miracles can happen, right? That anything can happen because we're in more of that allowing. Yeah.
Exactly. Totally in that space of allowance of, I wonder, is when you're a child, like, 3 years old, anything's possible. And if you've ever been around any 3-year-old, they just ask for everything, and everything magically shows up. Food shows up, presents show up, clothes show up, everything shows up. And that's, granted, when we're 3, it's our parents a lot, they're our God, they're our source of everything. But when we're adults, it's the same thing, where like, I have this saying called the universe's job is to deliver everything you ask for. That's its job. And the only reason it doesn't deliver what you ask for is, number 1, if you're not actually asking for it, and number 2, if you're not actually willing to receive it. And those are the places where I do a lot of work with people, because we have all these points of view, these silly little points of view, right?
For sure.
Like,
Do you know what? I'm at the corner of my eye. I spy my unicorn, and I didn't have it sat with me. But the unicorns are real.
They are. Well, and it's funny too. Like what I love about the unicorn. I talk a lot about unicorns, and I call the people that find me unicorns, and sometimes I call myself a unicorn trainer, because what I see in people is the magic that they're hiding, right? And when I was creating a ton of crap in my life, I had nothing was working, nothing, and I'm not exaggerating, like nothing was working. I didn't want to be on the planet anymore. I had $150,000 of debt. My business was killing me, basically. I wasn't making any money. I was doing everything for everyone else. Relationships weren't working. I just kept getting treated like crap. And I knew magic was possible. And I started asking for it. And I was like, okay, universe, if magic is possible, I want it. And if I don't get to have magic, I don't want to be here anymore because this is terrible. And I think a lot of people, well, not I think, I know that a lot of people that end up finding me are people who are in that space of done. I'm done not having all of me, right? And this whole unicorn concept is like the unicorns are hidden and they're mystical and they're magical, right? And if you're a unicorn, you don't want to be seen because you'll be captured, right? And so it's very similar to those of us who know greater possibilities exist, but we are also aware that there's been lifetimes or times even in this life where we're judged for being different. We're judged for what we know that we shouldn't know, our psychic abilities, right? And all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, I feel like I'm bringing the unicorns out, right? We're exposing the magic in everybody that's willing to actually acknowledge that they have it.
Beautiful, I love that. Bring out the unicorns. The thing is that magic energy, it's so powerful in terms of bringing us to that place of joy. And I think so many people have lost a sense of their joy and wonder and that inner child part of us, perhaps that unicorn and that magical mystery. And it's in that space that things begin to flow. So the more that we can be the magic, then the more we manifest and we create and bring ourselves to the world and have more fun. And when we're all happy, then, the world is a much better place. Yeah, and we want to be.
Oh, it's so, so true. And I'll tell you what, as we all, like personal growth and spiritual stuff and teaching and learning and stuff like that has been around so long now. I had studied different things for 12 years before I actually asked for magic. And that's when the Access Consciousness tools showed up for me. But before that, I was trained to fake it till you make it, and that you can force yourself to be happy. And so what I was doing, and I didn't realize I was doing this until years later, was I was pretending to be happy because I knew that it was a choice, and I knew that I could be, but I wasn't. And so I kept, fake it till you make it sort of stuff. And it literally was like 3 or 4 years later, I looked back and I was like, I was depressed and I didn't want to acknowledge it. And the difference between actually being happy and joyful and pretending are so different. They're so different. And I find that so much of the time, the stuff that actually has us not joyful and being our exuberant selves, the magical selves, is because we've got lots of stuff in there that's not even ours, that we think is ours, is probably why we're so depressed.
There's a lot of that energy in the world, right? Sadness, despair, depression, and as empaths, we buy into all of it. So not only from family and so forth, but the collective. How do you suggest people manage what's going on in the world in the collective?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'll give you an example of one of the things that showed up for me a few years ago is now I don't ever really feel depressed. I might get lower energy or blah, but I don't really get to the point where I feel like despair and depressed anymore, because I know that's not me. I know that's not truly me. So any heavy energy is not true for me. That's my signal now. It's a big red flag. It says, what am I aware of? So I go, oh God, I'm feeling like in a funk. Who does this belong to? And I'm always like, that heaviness, anything that's heavy is not of your infinite being, as I would say. So I was like depressed one day, and normally I'll look at it and I'll go, whose is that? Return to sender, and it goes away. This wasn't going away all day. And I was like, what is going on here? So it lasted the whole day. And then the next morning I wake up, I go to the airport, I was getting on a flight, and I'm sitting in the airport and I'm like, this is gonna change because this sucks. Because when you're purely joyful and you have the space of you, which is lightness, right? When you have a heavy energy, it just doesn't feel good. It's like you're getting hit on the head by a baseball bat over and over and over. So I was looking at my computer, I was looking at Facebook, and I was like, who does this belong to? And like I said, normally it just goes away. And I look at my Facebook feed, and all of a sudden somebody posted something about some bombings in Paris. Or I think it was Paris a few years ago. And I go, my awareness goes right in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually tapped in to everybody. I was in the United States. Everybody around the world that's worried about people, that had people die, that had people hurt, that were worried for their safety today, right? Like everything. And I was like, whoa. So here's what I did. That number one was acknowledging that it wasn't mine, and really looking at where the source was. Now, you don't have to find the source a lot of times, but sometimes if it's just not going away, acknowledging that you're tapped into that is helpful. So I was like, okay, I am tapped into all that. And as empaths, a lot of times, as we start working with our empathness and our capacities, you get more of a understanding of how it works for you. Everybody's a little different. So for me, I just went, okay, pull out of that universe, first of all, because I don't need to be over there. That's not mine, right? So I pulled out, acknowledged that wasn't mine, and I said, okay, anything else that's in my world, return to sender. And within 5 seconds, my energy came back. I was me again. I could breathe again, and I was happy. Now, I think one of the things that people do that really doesn't help is we want to feel for them. And that doesn't do anything. That's kind of like worrying, right?
Or I think sometimes one of my strongest empathic gifts is my sensing. And so for people that feel things and that are kinesthetic, it's almost like we're trying to figure out what it is and know what it is by staying stuck in that feeling of it. And all the time we're stuck in the feeling of it, it's like we're it. And it's like, yeah. I love that. And I'm just thinking about, how many people in the world are depressed and taking tablets, and what if it wasn't their depression?
Yeah. Can I share another quick story about that? It was just a miracle. So there's a guy that I knew on Facebook, and we kind of ran in the same circles, and he was posting on Facebook a lot about how life was terrible, and he had done a lot of the same sort of personal growth stuff that I had done. And he was posting all this stuff, and I was like, hey, there's another possibility. And it was getting energetically like he was going to do something about it. He might actually not be okay, right? And so I reached out to him, and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to be in town. I was going to be in Denver. I said, I'm going to be in town. Would you let me gift you a session? And he was like, yes, please. Oh my God. So we got together, I gifted him a session. I did like, I don't know, an hour and a half or 2 hours with him. And he told me that a few days before he tried to kill himself, and that he had a few days after he was going to try it again. And now it's 3 years later, I think it's 3 or 4 years later now. Within a week, like, the depression lifted. He was a completely different person when he walked out of there. And within a week, he was engaged to the guy that had left him, and there was kind of this drama there. He started his own business. He left his job. He went on to get this degree. He moved into this beautiful house. So his life started working for him now, right? But some of the stuff that we looked at about being this empath, and because, man, people aren't taught that they're empaths. We just know we are, but we don't really know what to do with it before we have tools, right? He was raised in a particular religion that made everything wrong. Also, both of his parents were depressed and on medication. Okay, and he's gay. So not only did the religion make him wrong just for being, right? And they're repressing all of the sexual energy, plus making him wrong for being gay. Oh yeah, by the way, both of his parents have panic attacks, anxiety, and depression. So he had all of those things, and when we actually looked at him, he's like, none of it's mine. It's all theirs. And so him being an empath, not having any tools, he was just duplicating it, taking it on, trying to heal them. And once he started acknowledging that, his life actually started working for him. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Miracle.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. We are, it never ceases to amaze me, how much we create that we're not aware of and conscious of, and like we're just mimicking our parents or people and taking the stuff on. So how powerful are we? And if we can create that, then what else can we create? That is amazing, So yeah.
I love that, Kimberly. I totally love that. What I usually say is, if you can create a poo pie, you can definitely create something amazing.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot more energy to create a poo pie than it does to actually create a phenomenal life.
Yeah.
But you don't think that. When you're in the poo pie, you don't think that. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's not even possible sometimes.
It feels like a poo pie.
It feels like a poo pie.
It is a poo pie, but it's not your poo pie.
Yeah. No, okay. It's not. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the receiving then, because I think that's another area that we're again, especially for people who are, let's say, more conscious or more spiritual healers and empaths. We're used to giving, and I find a lot of the time, we have to really we have to work at receiving or exercise that muscle of receiving. Yeah. How did that work for you?
I was giving everything away, and there was nothing left of me. I didn't have any money, obviously, because I just said that before. I was burned out. I had adrenal fatigue. I wasn't taking care of my body. I gave everything, right? And what's funny is one of the things that I was looking at was this whole, it's better to give than receive. And somehow I had that in my world, and I don't remember where I got it from, so I think it was just past life stuff. It wasn't even from my parents. Yeah. And I was like, how many lifetimes was I decided that it's better to give than receive. And so that's all I was doing, was giving everything away, just like what you said. And the thing that changed that for me, it was so hard to do. It was so hard to do. Because it went against everything I had done and stood for. Was everything I chose, I asked this question: what's in it for me? I asked, what is in it for me? And I felt selfish, and I felt wrong, and I felt like I didn't deserve it. And I just continued to acknowledge all that stuff, and I used the access tools to clear it, and got to the point where I was willing to include myself in the receiving. And when I actually asked that question, what's in it for me, whether it was to the other person or just to myself of, I'm going to go do this volunteer job, what's actually in it for me? Sometimes there was nothing. Right? When I became aware of it, it was all for everyone else. And so when I started really only choosing things where there was something in it for me, everything started to change, because I saw for me that was where I wasn't willing to receive. That when I was willing to include myself and say, okay, well, I get all this is for you, but what is in it for me too? Then including myself in the equation changed everything. And so then I didn't do anything that didn't have something in it for me. And so whether it was just joy, and not pretend joy, I just love giving, because that's what I would say, it was a lie. There wasn't really that joy. It was one more thing for me to do that didn't have me included. Once I started doing that, the universe was like, oh, you're ready to receive now? Okay, we have stuff for you.
And I think that's a great tool to be able to follow your joy and find your joy and you know, see what it feels like in your body. You know, do we actually want to do it? Because so many times we have these like big to-do lists of things that we feel like we should do or we have to do. And like if we don't want to do them, when we're not going to do them, we're going to procrastinate, or we're going to do them, we're going to be really miserable about doing them, right? Whereas if we just get into like, well, what is in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? Then we might actually see what's in it, because there may be that there is something in it for us. And if there isn't, then delegate it, ditch it, do something else, right?
Yeah. Well, like, that's exactly it. Sometimes there is something to receive in it, but you're not receiving it because you haven't even asked. You haven't actually bent over and picked up the $100 bill on the ground. You've been stepping over it the whole time, you know, like, yeah. Including you in the receiving. And when I started looking at that, man, I was willing to charge more for my services. I was willing to say no. I got my no, because I didn't ever want to say no to anything. So I learned how to say no. And you know, those of us who are sensitive, intuitive, empathic, psychic, like all that kind of stuff, so much of the time we're not saying no. You know?
Because it's like we're allowing big time for everything else, but we're not allowing for ourselves. Yeah, it's like we're okay.
Yeah.
And we'll feel it, but we're not feeling ourselves. We're not being ourselves and allowing. So
yeah, and it's and like I said, it was. I felt so selfish even thinking those words. Like, that's how ingrained I was to this. Was just the way you are. You're here to give. That's your job. You're here to be of service. And so when I cleared that pattern, holy cow, that was amazing. So if you're here to be of service, what lifetime is that from? And can you leave it back in that lifetime? Because I feel like, how many lifetimes? I feel like now are like those of us who are here, we've got our superpowers, and we're there's a different reality available when we include ourselves. We stop excluding ourselves and we start including ourselves to be created, that we know we're here to create it. We are the leaders of the future. We are the creators of the future, whatever that looks like. And I love how Dr. Dane here, he's one of the creators of Access Consciousness. He has a whole book called Being You, Changing the World, which isn't about saving the whales, which go save the whales if you want, but it's about truly being you without any of those implants from everyone else, without being obligated, but really truly choosing for you and being the energy and magic that you be, that literally you can walk down the street and create joy with the people around you. That's changing the world.
And it's coming from that place of just being rather than doing. So much of the time I think that we have this idea that we need to do something in order to be a service or in order to contribute to the world. And when we're in our joy and we're being joy, other people get lit up. You know, the whole of the universe is feeling the impact and the contribution of the joy and the magic and the fun that we're being. Yeah.
Yep. So. Exactly. And that's it's so easy, right? It's so easy that it's not even valuable. We don't think it's valuable because it's like, well, I'm just being me. Yeah, that's it.
We're just playing.
Exactly.
So, Cory, you have a wonderful quiz that you're offering as a free gift for people. Do you want to talk a little bit about your quiz? The universe has your back.
I would. The universe has your back.
Yay!
So, yeah, thank goodness, right? Like, thank goodness somebody's got our back, because it's not always our families. It's not always the people we have relationships with. They don't always have our backs, even though we would like them to, if we're really honest about it. Some people are lucky and they've chosen really supportive people, but some people haven't. But the quiz is a short quiz, and it's really looking at where are you functioning from right now. Now, does the universe have your back? Are you trusting yourself Are you trusting that the universe has your back? And this is different than like the belief thing, but it's also different than like blind trust. Like, oh, everything's going to work out. That's like blind trust. This is trust like, when I ask, I will receive, right? And so it's a little quiz, and it'll show you kind of where you are. And the really great thing is, no matter where you are, there at the end, there is a really cool gift. It's a free class all about asking. Of the ask and you shall receive. So no matter where you are, you get some tools and some processes and some energetic clearing all on that.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for that. So
Yeah,
you can check out Corys Quiz at theaskquiz.com and then, you know, see what you find in this 2 hour deep dive and lots of facilitation. So what's possible for you? With that, let us know. So thank you so much, Cory. It's been fun connecting and acknowledging our power. And with all the lights coming on and off, how much more fun could we have had, hey? Is there anything that you want to leave people with in terms of what we've been talking about?
Oh gosh, this has been so fun and interesting at the same time with all the power stuff. What I'd leave with people with, I think, like, just that, I mean, what we were talking about in the beginning, started to acknowledge, like, is this mine or is this someone else's? Who does this actually belong to? And really shedding the light to return to sender with consciousness and notice the difference in your energy, right? And that is one of the most powerful tools. If you take anything away from this, that is something that I use on a daily basis all the time to continue to maintain my space. And it's so easy to do when, you know, you get bombarded with life stuff. Like this cyclone was going on here. Everybody's freaking out. And I was like, wow, all of it's over there. It doesn't have to be in me. It can just be over there. They can do all the worrying and the freak out. I don't have to, because it's not going to contribute anything. Yeah.
I love that. So they're such simple tools, but so powerful. So if you're listening, I recommend that you try them out, and you can find out any more information from Cory from theaskquiz.com, and there'll be links to all of your Facebook and Twitter and so forth. So thank you so much, my darling. It's been just absolute joy to connect and to play with you, and till we see you again, we're going to send everybody much love and many blessings. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show. If you've enjoyed the show, subscribe and review our podcast. Sign up to receive your Wealthy Business Goddess resources and join us in the Wealthy Business Goddess community at www.lovekimberly.com/WBG. To find out more about how Kimberly can support you in creating the life and business of your dreams, or to watch the show via video, visit the website at www.kimberlylovell.com.